chief dress with lining. Here we have the pieces of the dress already a little prepared, so for the tutorial today. We have the back pieces on lining, and we have the back pieces on self, the front pieces on lining, and the front pieces on self. We're also going to be doing a facing. When you do a lined dress and you're going to line in another color or another fabric, it's very good that you use a facing. So another thing is, like, when you're going to make a dress or a skirt or a blouse that is going to have lining, think about doing double the work, because as you can tell, we have the back and the back and the front and the front, and they basically the same silhouette. Another thing that you might notice is that they already have the darts. To save time, we already made the dart, but if you want to learn how to make darts, you can go to our IGTV channel on our Instagram account, and I had a great tutorial on how to do darts, so you can watch how the darts are done. Also, I have the facing prepared with interfacing. So now I'm just going to start sewing and join all of the pieces of the dress together. So let's go to the machine. Now I'm going to start by joining together the front facing with the front lining, so I can have just one piece. And I'm going to sew, or I'm going to join them together by a quarter, which is the seam allowance that we have added to the pattern. Since this is a curvy seam, you want to make sure that you go step by step, pivoting the fabric so it can meet the curves. And also here, I had two notches, one on the self and one on the facing, so you have to make sure that they are together when you're sewing. Continue sewing to a quarter. You will take a little well on this seam. You just go to half of this. You want to lay the needle down, and you want to pivot the fabric, so then you continue on the other side. Just because the way that the facing is shaped with the shape of the lining. It's like a sweetheart shape, as you guys going to see in a few minutes. Continue on a quarter, the notches match, so that's pretty good. Almost to the end. Back stitch. And before I flip it, I'm going to give a cut right here on the center of the lining so the fabric can pivot, because this is like a big cut right here, so I had to cut a little bit. So as you can tell, now we have one piece, which I'm going to iron later. So let's do the back. Now I'm going to join the back facing with the back lining. I'm going to start on the center back by placing together the facing and the lining, and it also have a quarter seam allowance, so I'm going to be joining them by a quarter. Remember always to pivot the fabric. Okay, one side is done, so I'm going to do now the other side. Starting here on the side seam, a quarter, we're going to back stitch. So now I have both pieces of the back joined with the facing right here. So now I have the back ready. Now we're going to start by joining the center back using the notch that indicates the seam allowance right here from the bottom. We're going to back stay. Now you're going to join the center back all of the way to the two notches on the center back that indicate the zipper opening. So you want to back stay at the two notches because from here up we're going to insert a zipper. Once you have the back completely, we're going to proceed to join the back with the front on the side seam. So here is the front, and on the side seam this pattern have an inch seam allowance, so I'm going to be joining on the side seam a 1/2 inch. Making sure that the notches on the waistline match. Okay, notches matches on the waistline, so I'm going to continue on the hip curve. Notice how I take my time to accommodate the fabric, making sure that the edges of the fabric are aligning. Okay. Next, I'm going to continue by joining the other side seam, 1/2 inch as well. This is a curve, so you want to make sure that you take your time. Okay. Okay, so now both side seams are together, and the idea will be also to join the shoulder seams, but since we're going to be actually changing the thread color, we're going to wait until that happens so we can join the shoulder seam. Now that we have changed the colors on the thread, we're going to join the shoulder seam. The allowance here on the seam is also 1/2 inch, so we're going to back stitch. So this way, the lining is pretty much done. We had a dress to put inside of the self. Front and back. Okay, so we want to put this aside for a little bit so we can start working on the self. Here we have the back, and we're going to start as we did with the lining. We're going to start to doing the seam on the center back before the zipper opening, using the notch on the hem so that show me the allowance for the seam. I'm going to join the center back, making sure that the edge of the fabric is aligning. So let's back stitch. And those two notches here on the center back indicate the zipper opening. So I'm just going to sew to the second notch, and I'm going to back stitch there. because the rest of the center back going to be open, so we can insert an invisible zipper later on. When we have the back, now we're going to join with the front, just exactly as we did with the self. So here is the front. The allowance here is half an inch as well. I pass the waistline notch. As you can tell right here, they both match, the front and the back. And I'm almost at the end of the side seam on the armhole. Once I get there, I actually don't going to cut or trim the thread. I'm going to continue by joining the shoulder together. So this way you sew faster, and then you just trim the thread. So now the other side with the front. Then the other side seam. Let me make sure that I accommodate this correctly so you guys can see it on the video. Here, I think it's better, so I'm going to start under the armhole and half an inch. This is the fastest way to sew. That's the system that they use in factories. And most likely you will don't make mistakes. Continue a half an inch. All of the way to the hem. So now we have two dresses, and I'm going to show you in a few minutes how we're going to serge all of the way around before we join the self with the lining. See you in a few minutes. Now we're going to serge or overlock the edges of the fabric. Here we have the side seam. We're going to start under the armhole, serging the edges. Notice that I'm just trimming a little bit. Once I have one side done, I enter the other side. And now I'm going to do the center back. For the center back, I'm going to start just right here. That's going to be covered by the zipper, the other area of the facing. And since this thing is already joined together, I'm going to open it. That can also be serged before you join them together. It's going to be easier, by the way. Is to serge the edge of the center back before you join them together, since we're serging each edge of the fabric apart. I just trimming a little bit, not cutting too much, because the knife in this machine is not meant for cutting but just trimming. Okay, here I get out. and we have searched the lining. Now we're going to search the self of the fabric. Exactly the same way, I'm going to start on the side seam. You see? By the way, some people don't clean the edge of the fabric when they're doing a piece with lining, because they believe that the lining, it will cover the seam. Now, I like to clean the edge anyway, especially because the garment, as you guys going to see at the end, is not joined at the bottom with the lining, so you can still flip the dress inside and see the edges, and I myself don't like that. So I like to clean it with the serger. Regardless or not, I'm going to use lining on the garment. So now let's do the center back. I also like to serge with the right size up, because the serger machine has the right stitch up. You open the seam. Now, the last things I'm going to serge on the self fabric is the hem edge at the bottom. Even so, I'm going to be using an hem tape, as I'm going to show you in a few minutes. I like to serge the edge of the hem before I put the tape. Now the hem has been serged, and the last thing I'm going to do is to clean here the shoulder seam of the lining, now that I have the right color thread. And I believe that I'm done with the serger machine, so let's go to the ironing board. Now we are here in the ironing board, and we're going to press the seam that joins the facing with the lining. That's the first thing that we're going to do on the back. This side as well. Now the front. Here on the V-neck is a little tricky, so the iron will help you to have it better. And then I like to press open the center back seam right here. And even if the side seam is not going to be open, I like to press, because the iron just finished and stable the stitch. Look how nice it looks, different from before pressing. It just gives you the final touch. So I like to press both of the side seam. The reason that I didn't clean the hem, the edge of the hem of the lining, is because we're going to do a folded hem, which you guys are going to see in a few minutes. So now we have pressed the lining, the that weren't pressed well before. So we're going to press the self. Now we're going to press the self, and I'm going to start by pressing the center back seam open, as you see right here. Then we're going to press the side seam. Again, even if we have the seams close or joined together, I like to press it. Let's press the shoulder seam. The other side seam. Now I'm going to press the hem of the dress. So I'm going to look for the notch here that indicate the hem allowance, so I can go back to my patterns, and in this case I have 1.5 inches. So I'm going to use the tape measurement, and I'm going to mark here 1.5 inches, and I'm going to start pressing. You can use the tape measurement again just to make sure. Press one more time, and this way you go around all the way. Let's find 1.5 inches here, a little too much. Yeah, here we have 1.5 inches. Let me make sure that I have 1.5 inches right here. So I'm marking the hem here on the ironing board. So it's going to be easier for me to make the hem later. That's it. Now I'm going to show you how to join the self of the dress with the lining. We have both dresses here on the right side out. So what we're going to do, we're going to take the lining and we're going to put it in top of the self, right side with right side, so we can sew them together. Now we are on the machine, so we're going to join the lining with the self on the neckline, starting on the center back on a 1/4 seam allowance. So you're going to go all around the neckline. I like to do my shoulder allowance towards the back. So here I'm going to do it towards the back and on the selfie, on the facing as well. Okay. This is a bead net, so you wanna go again very slow, because you never can pull the neckline. If anything, you wanna ease the neckline under. You have to stop here and there, so you make sure that you join the edge of the fabric together. And when you get to the center of the V, you want to leave the needle down, and you have to pivot the fabric so you can do the other side. That you're going to do every time that you do a V-net. Now I'm sewing the other side from the center front towards the center back. Little by little, remember, don't pull the neckline ever. The shoulder seam, I fold it towards the center back. and almost here at the end. So I'm going to back stitch, and I like to do a little clips on the curve right here, and a big clip here on the center front, especially because this is a V, but not through the seam, before I do the top stitch. So now I'm going to flip the dress, and I'm going to do a top stitch. The top stitch I'm going to do it on the facing, okay, this area right here. So I had to do the seam along towards the facing, folded this way, and I'm going to do a top stitch or an edge from the edge of the seam. When you do the top stitch, notice how I'm pulling the fabric so it's right on the edge. When I get to the corner again, or the center, to the center front, I let the needle down and I pivot the fabric so I can do the other half of the neckline. So let me show you guys how the top stitch look. This is how the top stitch look. As you notice, it's done on the edge of the neckline on the lining side. The next step is to iron the neckline. I start on the center back. I'm making sure that the seam is rolling over the lining, so you don't see on the outside, you don't see any seam. And that's also one of the reasons that you do top stitch. So I did the back, so now I'm doing the front. Little by little, you have to press, and just as you sew, stopping to accommodate, you have to press on the same direction. You see how beautiful the V-neck? And you don't see any stitch on the right side. Okay, so let me continue here. And finito. The next step is to clean the armhole. The dress is on the right side, so I'm going to put my hands inside, and I'm going to grab the self fabric and the lining, and I'm going to flip them together, so then I can have the joint on the armhole, and I have the self and the facing together. So I'm going to start by sewing and cleaning the armhole a quarter all around. Now I'm going to sew the armhole circle. I'm going to start under the armhole, and this can be a little tricky because remember the armhole is a circle, so we had to do it on little step. And we might have to stop on midway because the shoulder width is a little narrow for us to go through. Notice how the notch on the sleeve or the facing match with the sleeve on the cell or arm. No sleeve, arm. So I'm going, you have to sew a little bit and then flip the rest, sew a little bit, flip the rest, and let's see if we can go through this narrow shoulder. Okay, a quarter. Okay, we are almost on the back side of the arm, but I cannot flip more. You see how bulky it is right here? I cannot flip more. So when that happens, you back stitch as I just did, you stop, and then you're going to start on the other end, working backward. I know this looks confusing, but this is how it's done. So I flip it to the other side. I'm going to start where I stop. I back stitch and I continue sewing on a quarter of seam allowance, making sure that the edges are aligning. And I finish under the arm. Now I'm going to do, since this is curvy, just like the back neckline, I also going to do a sun snap, because when you have a curvy line, that will help you to fold better when you flip the fabric. Be careful not to cut the seam. And only in the curvy area of the arm, which is more or less this area right here, okay? Now that we have the arm self-aligning joint, I like to do a top stitch, just as we did on the neckline. Again, we're not going to be able to do it all around because the shoulder is very narrow, but we can do as far as we can. So let's see, let's start right here. The top stitch is going to be done on the facing again. So let's see how far I can go right here. Let's see, on the back pretty far. Ooh. Well, that's it. So I'm going to show you on the lining. You see, again, this is the arm right here, and I did a top stitch from here all the way to there. So now I'm going to press. Now we're going to press the arm of the dress. Just as we press the neckline, you wanna press the arm after you join the self and the lining, or in this case, the facing. After we finish the arm, the next step is to clean the zipper with the lining. As you see, the zipper has been already attached, and if you want to learn how to do invisible zipper, you can refer to the YouTube video that we have on invisible zipper right here in this channel. So let's now show you how to clean the invisible zipper with the lining. So this is the right side of the dress, and this is the right side of the lining. So you're going to flip the zipper on this side, and then you wanna flip the fabric as well. And you're going to sew with this kind of foot, which is not this invisible zipper foot, but it's pretty good to do this kind of clinching. And home machines, they actually have this kind of foot. So I'm going to be sewing a straight seam all the way down. Notice those are the stitch of the zipper. So I'm going to sew like about a quarter from the stitch, making sure that I'm grabbing the tape of the zipper, and I'm aligning the edge of the lining with the edge of the cell. You're going to see how beautiful this get clean inside. You don't going to see the zipper or the zipper tape much. In couture dresses, this is done by hand, but you can do a pretty nice job also in the machine. So you're getting to the end, and one side is done. To do the other side, I'm going to start from the bottom of the zipper up. So here I have my lining, the edge met right here. Going to back stitch, and again notice how I'm sewing, grabbing the zipper tape about a quarter from the stitch of the zipper, or the stitch that I use to attach the zipper. Going all of the way up, right side with right side. Here I'm flipping the end of the zipper. So it goes on the inside. And this is how your zipper should look inside. You see, it's already clean. You just see a little tape. You don't see the edge, and this is the invisible zipper on the outside. Now we're going to attach the hem tape or seam binding, as you know, is known, on the hem of the dress. So I'm going to sew this about a quarter from the edge when I straight seam. If you don't have the hem tape, you can also use a lace or half an inch. Or worst case scenario, you just do the serger and do as it is right here, and do a blind hem as well. I just like to do the hem tape or lace because it makes it look better. You go all around. Then when you get here to the end, since this fabric rubber or the tape rubber a lot, I got a little extra, and I fold like about half an inch in. You see, I pass the beginning and I go half an inch in, and I fold it. So this way it doesn't rubble. The next step is to do the hem on the edge of the lining. So we're going to do a folded hem. So I'm going to fold once, a quarter, and then I'm going to fold again on 1/2 inch. If it's easier for you, you can press the quarter on the edge and the 1/2 inch on the iron first, and then just come to the machine and sew it. Or you can fold as you go and sew. Let me lay the needle down and take the fabric from the waist so you guys can see what I'm doing. Folding a quarter and then 1/2 inch. Folding a quarter, 1/2 inch. Make sure that you don't sew in the fabric underneath. See, I do it little by little, and as I say, you can even press this before, then sew it. Get sure. Okay, so now the hem on the lining is done. I'm going to press the hem on the lining. Sewing and pressing, they have to be hand by hand. Everything that you sew, you should press. The stitch looks better. And I also going to press the zipper. Let me open it. So the lining goes away from the zipper. You see how I'm pulling? So when you zip up your dress, the lining doesn't get caught up on the zipper. The other side. The dress is almost ready. The only thing that I have to do now is the blind hem. That's it. Here we have the final product, a dress with lining. As you can see, here we have the facing inside. I made the lining in a constructed color, so it's better for you to see. The invisible zipper that is clean with the lining. Then we have the hem. So this is pretty much done. So if I flip the dress on the inside out, you see, you barely see the seams. And this is the whole objective of a lined dress. It looks better quality, it feels better on the body, but the good thing is also to look clean. You see, it looks like you have another dress, and then the zipper also is lined. The last thing to do is to do a blind hem right here on the cell. If you don't know how to do a blind hem, you can refer to our IGTV, where we have videos on how to do blind hem.